Hello, everybody. Welcome to Beyond Hegemony. I'm here with Gary Turner today. Wait, is Shahana going to join us today?
Not today. She's on a different.
Okay.
She's speaking at an event today. So.
Okay, that all right. I was like, I just realized when we were offline, they go that we're missing a person. But thanks for joining us today, whoever is watching this live and whoever comes back to watching this. Thank you. We appreciate your support. And don't forget that we are also downloading these lives to Spotify for your podcast pleasure and support this podcast as well. But yeah, how you doing, Gary?
Trina, I'm doing well. We had a good little chat before we came on, and I'm doing personally well. Navigating the wild, beyond hegemonic wanderings and explorations, and just I don't know about you, Trina, but I find a really interesting challenge, but also a really high growth challenge is around this. How do you find joy in collapse? And this is something it's really what I'm exploring a lot at the moment. I'm wondering for you, like what that looks and feels like, because I know you're very polymathic in your thinking and how you navigate the world, but like how do you keep trying to find those moments of high vibration joy in amongst the madness?
I think it's probably really centered around my belief systems, around what I believe is chaos and what I believe is just kind of the ebb and flow of creation and reality. I always often tell my clients, imagine your life is like dropped into a pebble. You're a pebble dropped into a body of water, and there's a ripple, and it hits a wall, and then it comes back. And you got the up swings, you got the down swings, you got the upswings, you got the but it just that's life. And so right now, with what is going on in the world, I just know that my beliefs create my reality and my thoughts create what I feel, So if I am in a state of despair, and this is kind of goes into the different types of empathy as well. But if I'm being empathetic to someone and I'm in those emotions with them and I'm falling apart, I can't really be compassionate. Now, if I'm compassionate, I can hear and I can feel and I can support, right? But I don't necessarily fall into their emotional field, right? I can go, that I feel you. But if I'm too cognitive, there's a cognitive empathy, which unfortunately I know a lot of pale scale people operate in, which is I can think about how you feel, but I can't really get into the feeling of it. And so then the mask of caring comes on, and the other person feels that, whether you guys realize it or not. People feel when you're really, truly being compassionate, right? Versus when you're being cognitively compassionate. It's kind of like when you go to the doctor and you know the difference between a good doctor and just the one that's your check, a number, get out. Okay, I've done my job. The cognitive doctor is going, okay, and you walk out feeling completely nothing and empty, right? They've said, oh, that's bad. Versus, oh, that must be heavy. Tell me more about what's going on with you. Oh, can I suggest this? That's the difference. And then the one that goes, come on, girl, let's go beat him up. That's not helpful to the situation. That's more like, that's that herd mentality of let's gang up, or let's solve the problem in a low vibrational way. You're being empathetic though, but it's usually not for the person's benefit. It's for your benefit and your emotions. So yeah, for me, I'm actually a little giddy, which is strange.
Tell me more.
Because I was like, about damn time. I'm sick of this. I'm like ready. I know it's going to be a challenge for people to be uncomfortable. But being a
Mm-hmm.
woman, I already have had that experience. So it's nothing new to be uncomfortable. But everybody else feeling uncomfortable may be the generative way for a soul to come in and inhabit what has been pretty empty, you know?
Mm.
And so yeah, I'm okay with it to that extent. Now, I have a kid that I sometimes worry about, but at the same time, I have faith that I've given him tools. So yeah, that's how I'm dealing with it. And I daily send blessings to people who are struggling. I take a moment and I sit in silence every single night before I go to bed. I meditate and I say, you know, bless me or give me energy to help other people in this struggle and help them, and I'm not talking to any particular deity or anything like that. It's just me generating me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. What about you? What are you doing?
Nice, nice. I love it. To be honest with you, I'm very lucky to have a systemic guide based in the Philippines who I'm still doing work with around decolonization, sort of nearly 4 years on from the start of that journey, Trina. And
Mm,
what she helped me, and this is one example of this, is being in more radical spaces. So as
mm,
someone on the pale scale, right, who is male, like those spaces don't exist for me. Like it's very actually
mm,
difficult for me to find particularly Caucasian men, particularly
mm-hmm,
anybody that's Caucasian, that is willing to sit in this conversation for anything longer than 30 seconds. So,
mm,
so actually, a lot of where I'm trying to find my joy is, me, you, Shahana coming together with our guests, me being the chair of the local Green Party, who are looking to really drive change in a very different way in the local community. So I'm having to find, and I'm enjoying finding, and that's where I'm getting my joy, is by finding these more radical spaces, whether it's friends, whether it's organizations, whether it's spaces. And what I witness, what I observe, I mentioned to you before we popped on air today. So I've had conversations with a couple of CEOs within the extractive industries, where I sit, totaling 10 billion euros in revenue, these companies.
mm,
And what was so striking to me in the conversations, Trina, was the increasing incremental of self-awareness and a little bit of vulnerability, all those good things. Yeah, we need all of that.
right.
However, zero centering of the global majority, zero centering of the harm unfolding in all the different countries and
Mm,
conflicts. And I think that to me is the most interesting when you talk about bridge or gateway. Like
mm-hmm,
what I see as beyond hegemony, what might happen as all of this old world thinking and narratives collapse, is there's enough of an aperture that people will be forced who are on the pale scale to go,
mm-hmm.
shit, like you said, I've got to connect head, heart, gut. I cannot live above the neck anymore. I can't do
That's
it.
right.
Like it's not sustainable for my bloodstream, my inner workings to live
Right.
walking around above the neck. So that's where I'm finding my joy is in these more radical spaces. And I can see these interesting beyond hegemonic bridges
Mm-hmm.
starting to form, but they've got a long way to go. They've got a long, 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 long way to go.
Well, the understanding and caring for other people has to start with oneself. So just the fact that there is some vulnerability and uh, some self awareness is a good thing. Yeah, but it really is not going to be the impact for, radical change until that reverberates out to everyone else. And I think sadly what has happened in the hegemony narcissistic hellscape that it has created is they are very good at putting on masks and mimicking caring and empathy and a desire for change, but it's to the same end. You know what I mean? Which is profitability
Yeah.
and keeping things exactly as they are, you know? And that that lack of desire for change is, I think, at the root. You know, they just want to keep holding the golden coins as much as possible.
But isn't this fascinating though, Trina, when we think about it?
Mhm.
How many how many billions of dollars a year are spent on McKinsey and management consultants to do some transformational change, right? But it's all external, right? I'm yet to find. That's not true. There's a couple of organisations I know that I'm closely working with who do
Mhm.
genuine inner mindset work at the corporate level. But I can tell you, Trina, I can count them on one hand, the number that are
Mhm.
trying to do it that way. Everything else is outside in, not the inside
Mhm.
out that you and I and Shahana always pull this back to, right?
Right. Right. Right.
It's
It,
amazing.
it, well, what I always remember when EQ and emotional intelligence came into the mainstream more, it was all in the corporate sphere, excuse
Hmm.
me. And I say sphere, corporate sphere.
Might need one of those as well.
um, yeah, yeah, probably. Um, and I think for me, the disappointment is that, you know, we went from DEI, affirmative action, and all of these things to try to level up the playing field a little bit, to
Hmm.
complete decimation and destruction, and it doesn't work, you know, in a very short period of
Yeah.
time. So that right there is also the huge light bulb of the fact that it wasn't really authentic and there was really no true empathy in the process, or there is a need for appearances. And I think
Hmm.
that is a very British thing, if, you know, very European thing, the need for appearances. And so, but it doesn't really mean you feel what you feel really any empathy, but you want to appear that you do, you know. And I've experienced that firsthand, you know. So it's like, uh, yeah, we got some foundational cracks that need to be addressed. And we were talking about history um, before we came home, and I think the correction of the the neo-colonialism and colonialistic history is a big part of it, because I think there are some wounds that have yet to be revealed um, because of appearances.
Mm. It's so insightful, Trina. One of the things I find really also intriguing, maddening, but also potentially infused, potentiality infused, is this the very people, the 1%, or even those below, such as a couple of the others who represent the 1% that I've spoken to recently, or 2%,
Mhm.
they're yet to join the doctrina that it's in their interest to do this work and for their kids and their grandkids. Like, there's a
Mhm.
complete disconnect. Like that story of
Mhm.
separation. To like, somehow we need to get them to understand this is actually like for egoic people, like to do
Mhm.
this inner work is really good for you too. Like, but trying
Mhm.
to, you know, it's fascinating though. Trying to get that message across is unreal. It's unbelievable.
I think they're just in the prison of their own privilege. You know what I mean? So there's a cognitive dissonance of around what is really happening in the world. It's like this computer program running all the time that doesn't have space for any new data. You
Mm.
know, it's so disruptive. It's so like, I mean, like I have clients from across all cultural spheres, and the ones that struggle the most around this concept are my pale scale folks, and I'm saying, like, what are you afraid of, you know? And it's usually just their security and safety has been um, placed in the narrative, you know? And even though they know that the narrative is not benefiting them at all, they still are afraid to look at the narrative to say, I don't think this is benefiting me, but I'm afraid to do anything else about it because maybe it'll get worse. I think that's it. They think it'll get worse, you know, rather than getting better. But you got to go through the fire, right? You got to hit, as they say, you got to hit rock bottom sometimes. But I really don't even think you need to hit rock bottom. You really just have to go, this is not working for me. Okay. I acknowledge this is not working for me. I've hit my head. You know, what did they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Come on.
There you are.
And this is how I describe colonialism as a whole, because they keep doing the same thing all over the world, expecting a different result, and there hasn't been. It just goes right back to another downfall, another destruction. So either they are the soulless aliens, or yeah, sums up. That's the sums up. I just saw that the police are now getting, because you know I always have to move it over to the metaphysical because it's mind, body, and spirit. The police in the US are now getting handbooks on UFOs, on how to react.
Very good.
Now, let me ask you, how many people through time were called nut cases or tinfoil heads and all this stuff, and now we're got handbooks being handed out to the U.S. police? What's that telling you? What is it telling you? How you feel about this, Gary?
Intrigued.
Yeah, I asked my son, what are you going to do if the aliens come down and just big ships start landing all over the planet? What are you going to do? And he goes, I don't know.
Good response.
I don't know.
Have a chat. Have a cup of coffee if I want one.
You know. So I bring this up only because I think we always deal with the mind, and we're really good dealing with the mind-body connection, but I don't really think we deal with the spiritual, metaphysical part. And I hear these conversations a lot, and they're so divided and segmented off, but they're all connected. And until we get to that place where we can discuss it in this way, I think that we're always going to struggle.
That's a very insightful point. You know, trying to talk about spirituality, not religion, spirituality within a workplace is like trying to talk about Gaza and Israel in the workplace.
Oh, wow.
They've got the same level of hot potato energy around them. It's so fascinating. And come back to your point earlier, I think, as well, around just that invulnerability to sit in discomfort and to go, I don't have all the answers. It doesn't actually make sense to me right now, and I'm okay with that. You know, that very simple act of, I don't know, and I'm going to let myself walk forward 2 steps without knowing. Like, that's just how much the mind's been colonized to say, you must have assurance. Do not take that next step unless you know 100% what it's going to look like. And it's like, what? It's just like, what?
Nobody has all the answers. That's why I always tell people, like, if I do any kind of shows or whatever, don't call me an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm fumbling around in the dark just like everybody else. I just am able to formulate a sentence in a coherent way, better than our president. So, like, it's last two presidents actually. I just think that what happens is that this world is so I don't think we were as fear-based as in antiquity as we are now, because fear is a part of the machine. And it's an energy, and that's why I always bring it back to that, because all things are energy. All things are energy. And until we bring that piece into the conversation in all levels, rather than, it's brought in, but it's usually brought in to mean a woo-woo type of thing rather than a fact, science-based thing. You know what I mean? But the evidence is there that it is intrinsically connected, and that the hegemonic powers know this better than we do.
I'm going to do. May I, with your permission, Trina? I'd like us to share, Doctor, because I think it's really good timing to share a little bit about our guest that's coming up on the 25th of September.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do that.
What do you think? I'm going to just do a quick share screen. Just so everybody, hopefully you'll be able to join us on the 25th. It'll be myself, Shahana, and Trina with Dr. Amina. And I'm pretty excited about this, Trina.
Yeah, I am too. We chatted through your connection, and definitely, I think she's going to be awesome. And I love her background.
Yeah, I just think there's something. What I really enjoyed as well is that how that guest, how Dr. Amina came about, was a use of technology as a tool, right? LinkedIn, right?
Right.
Generatively used. Oh wow, that's a nice post. Hey, Trina, Shahana, have you seen Dr. Amina's work? Oh yeah, let's maybe look at trying to get on a guest. Like really positively high vibration, generative. And it was still technology, right? However, look what happened with the UK riots. That was also just technology, right? But how is the tool used? And I think this is what I keep trying to talk to people about, is like technology is agnostic. It's what the humans are doing with it, right?
Exactly. Well, it's the same. It's with everything. Like anything that it could be, even with currency and money and things. It's the people behind the use of the tool. It's a tool. You know what I mean? And so many times, like, they personify tools rather than, making it what it is. It's just a thing that's supposed to help connect to another thing. And the personification of all these type of things, I mean, even corporations, really have led to the downfall. you know I remember so clearly, I think it was in like the late 80s, when the US government gave personhood to corporations, and I was like, huh, how is that going to work? And now we see that's how it worked horribly. And it basically, we are no longer humans anymore because the corporations, and now we're mini corporations. You see what I'm saying? So there's like, and that's what we're striving for. Here on LinkedIn, all I see is this what's the word I'm looking for? Churning out of the same thing in the same way, looking for the same results. The marketing, the photos, I was asked the other day, why don't you have your photo up anymore? I said, because what I do has nothing to do with the way I look. Why is that? Why is that such an important piece for you? Because people have this imagination that they can look at a photo and discern whether or not that person is good, bad, or anything in between. And you can't do that until you are in connection with someone. You can't judge a book by its cover, right?
Love that.
Mm-hmm. So I don't put my picture there because there's going to be people who are going to discriminate against me. And there are going to be people who are going to hold me maybe at a higher esteem than I deserve. So I don't want either one of those things.
Or the mucky men coming into your inbox either.
That too. That too. Oh my gosh. Oh, I took, yes. I try not to mention that because the divide between the masculine and the feminine right now, or the men and women, should I say, is at a all-time high. And it's purposeful. It's purposeful.
It's
And
crazy. It's really crazy. And I want to put it out there right now. Like, we definitely need to be doing our work, men. Let's be having conversations about this stuff. Let's not look at it as a sideline on the news. It's just horrific what happened to that bloody marathon runner in Africa. It's just like, what? Like, and again, like you say, it's very low vibration, very hegemonic reactions.
mm-hmm. Because they fear they're losing something that truly they never really had because hegemony had it and has it. You don't have what they promised. That's an illusion. What you do, you're a lapdog or a guard dog to their wealth, power, and control. But you don't have that. That's the part I don't understand. When is that going to click on? When you're going to click out of that delusion? You know what I mean?
Interesting.
We should.
What's it?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say to you, what's what are you sort of looking forward to, Trina, at the moment? What are you working on? What patterns are you spotting in the world that you're like, that's really intriguing, or where's that coming from?
Mm. You know, what I see is a painful balancing out of energies. Um, kind of going back to what I just mentioned about masculine and feminine. I see the feminine stepping into its power that it used to have in antiquity before the story was rewritten to make everybody temptresses and whores. you know, um, I see a lot of opportunities there. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to, gosh, I'm looking forward to 5 years from now because I see the next 5 years being pretty rough for the collective. But then once we collectively start putting our energy towards the timeline and the narrative that we want to see in the world rather than the one they're trying to force on us. So that's what my message to everyone is you create your reality, okay? And if this is not what you want, daily say what you want. Okay? Say what you want and then let it go. That's the power of manifestation. Say what you want. Imagine what you want. Be in the emotions of what you want. What does it feel like? What is, this is a beautiful exercise of like, let's imagine this and that. I imagine Gary and I sitting down at a cafe, someplace beautiful and tropical, and having a nice cocktail, or I don't drink alcohol, a mocktail, and just laughing it up, chatting, and Shahana too, and feeling like, hey, remember when we started this whole little thing and it just exploded to a global phenomena and everybody was seeking a life beyond hegemony and it's gone. That's what.
I felt that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Felt that.
How wonderful that would be.
But you know what's beautiful about what you shared? The felt vision of that, Trina, but also I can say very, very clearly, I'm finding people. We've found each other. There are more and more people
Yeah.
and I literally met 2 last week who even live near me, Trina, like within 15 minutes. And we sat down and had a conversation like we have on this chat, on this platform. And I was like, wow, where have you been? And because as we become more conscious, more aware, delayer the conditioning, we're then like, the antenna's up, right? It's like, well, where are the other people that, and they are there, but they're all got their antenna up going, what's going on? Like, there's this really intriguing, energetic shift that's occurring. And we are more and more people are finding each other. Like, and that's what I'm really inspired by, is like that network effect, that leverage is really starting to take hold now. I really believe that.
Absolutely. And I had the same experience in the health food store the other day. I met an amazing lady, and by the time we were chatting for almost 45 minutes along with the store people, we were in a group hug by the end.
Amazing.
I was like, oh wow.
Amazing.
What is that? Wait, where have you been? Where have you been? I've been looking for you, right? So it is it's a natural cohesion, that happens when you are in your purpose, when you are in your high elevated vibration. And so if you are feeling lonely right now, that's okay. Because that's the time for you to learn about yourself, to understand who you really are beyond the hegemonic structures and the hegemonic mask and all those things. Let it fall away. Enjoy being with yourself. And then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, people will matriculate into your life the way that it's supposed to happen. Yeah. So.
What a gift you are, Trina. And I wrote something down. It was so beautiful what you shared earlier in this conversation today. The prison of privilege. It's much easier because I continue to be on this journey, people. It's bloody hard work sometimes, but totally worth it. What's the hard bit? Letting go is the hard bit sometimes, because we've been conditioned for so long to keep hold of all this bullshit. But when we start letting it go, it's like, oh my God. Freedom, right? It's freedom.
It truly is. It's amazing. And you'll attract the low vibrational people from time to time too. But here's the thing: when you're healed, you can see them a mile away, and you'll be like, "Thanks, but no thanks." Talk to the hand. Bye bye. And then you'll get your tribe. I think. At least that's how I feel about it. But I think we're over our time. Hey, I thank everyone that's here. Is there anybody here this time? I don't know. I don't
Maybe
see.
somewhere.
But somewhere. Anybody out there? No. Again, if you would like to have some coaching services with me, you can find me at thisreallifebooks.com, and you can click the coaching tab. I also have books that teach emotional intelligence to children. I have a fun clothing line that reminds parents to remind themselves that, you know what, we're all doing our best. And I call it gentle reminders. And then yeah, you can definitely support our podcast here. I also have a podcast called EQ Above IQ, Parenting with Emotional Intelligence and Healing the Inner Child. And yeah, and Gary,
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work, Trina. Yeah, for me, I'll keep it short and sweet. Check out Radicality, radicality.co.uk for your corporate or one-to-one business thinking partnership, transformational support, and ecosystem services. Trina and Shahana, I'm really grateful, are 2 of the 13 collaborators as part of that ecosystem, and we're looking together to help you, if you work within an organization, small or large, to do the inside work for yourself and within your organization so that we see real world change on the outside.
bravo. Yay. I love it. Got goosebumps on that one, Gary. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. You
Take
have a
care,
blessed
everyone.
day.
Take care for now.